start talking about vinyasa. The word vinyasa can mean linking breath and movement. You might have been to a vinyasa yoga class. In your vinyasa yoga class, the instructor probably choreographed a bunch of poses together in one seamless flow. Your instructor might have also told you to take a vinyasa or skip a vinyasa, and you're like, what the hell is she talking about? I thought I was in a vinyasa class. Now, the word vinyasa can refer to a series of poses that link these flows together. These poses consist of a high plank to a low plank, or chaturanga, upward facing dog to downward facing dog. Now, some of those poses don't work for everybody, and that's okay. Today, I'm going to share with you a few ways to modify your vinyasa. You don't have to skip every vinyasa class because you feel like you can't move at the same pace or in the same way as everybody else. You can use these tools to make vinyasa your own. So, I'll start by demonstrating what your yoga teacher has probably meant by take a vinyasa. You might find yourself in a high plank, our first pose. You'll shift forward and lower chaturanga, our second pose. You'll lift the chest and roll the shoulders back, taking a deep inhale for upward facing dog. And then on the exhale, you'll find yourself in downward facing dog. From here, you might move on to another flow, another pose, who knows, whatever your instructor has in store for you. Now, we're going to start from the way bottom. We're going to start from a very, very gentle version of a vinyasa. That's going to start with cow and cat. We start in a tabletop position. This replaces our high plank. Instead of taking that upward facing dog, we drop the belly, we roll the shoulders back, and we're in our cow pose. We're still getting that nice open heart. On an exhale, we pull the belly in, we round through the upper back, drop chin to the chest, and we take cat pose. This replaces our downward facing dog. You might notice that this takes far less time than the students around you may be taking other variations. So we can continue to flow through cow and cat a few times, just moving with the breath, inhaling to shine the heart forward, exhaling to round through the upper back. Now, if you've taken your cow and cat and you're feeling pretty good, maybe we're ready to take it up just one notch. So from here, we find ourselves in our tabletop position. Instead of a regular tabletop with our hands under shoulders, knees below hips, we're going to widen this table a little bit. So we're going to bring the knees a little bit further behind the hips. Now we notice we're going to need a little bit more core to keep ourselves stable. So we pull the belly button in, we think of linking those low ribs towards the hips. We've got a little bit more stability here. Now we are going to take another variation of our cow pose. We drop the hips, we roll the shoulders back, we take our cow or our variation of a cobra, and then we exhale. We send the hips back over the knees and we slide the hands forward, allowing our head to drop, taking a variation of downward facing dog. It's almost like a half downward facing dog. We've got that same stretch in the upper body without the pressure on our wrists or our shoulders. Maybe we take a few breaths here and wait. Now maybe we want to get a little bit deeper here. So we can come back to our table and we walk our hands forward, our knees further back. So again, we have that wide table stance. That belly's in, the core is engaged. We're going to try to keep the chest a little bit forward, that belly in. We're going to lower down, adding in a variation of chaturanga. The knees are going to stay down. Doesn't necessarily make it easier. You're still going to find you need core stability and a little bit of shoulder strength. So from here, we shift forward, we lower halfway. The elbows point to the back of the room. We don't want the elbows to splay out or else we compromise our joints. Tuck those elbows in. Notice maybe you start to shake a little bit. It's not easy. If we're feeling good, we lower all the way down. We make sure we have plenty of space in our low back. We press the tops of the feet into the mat. Elbows continue to point to the back and the shoulders roll away from the ears. We're going to lift the chest and take a cobra. We've got that same heart opening as our cow pose or upward facing dog. This can get as big as you like. Maybe we're pressing a little bit into the hands and lifting up. What we want to avoid is compressing in that low back. So we want to keep lots of length, keeping the shoulders away from the ears. From here, you'll lower yourself back down, press into your hands, and press back to that modified downward facing dog. Now this entire variation has taken off a lot of pressure from our shoulders and our wrists. Now if we come forward and we want to mix and match, I'll give you a little example. We step back to our high plank and we notice maybe it's a little too much for us today. Those knees lower behind the hips. Keep those elbows pulled in. We lower halfway, chaturanga. Inhale, lift the heart, press into the tops of the feet, lift the hips. We're in upward facing dog. On our exhale, we can press back to down dog or our modified down dog. Now putting it all together, make your decision. Follow along with me here. We start in our high plank. Take your table, take your knees down plank, your choice. Let's lower. Lift the heart, shine it forward wherever you are, and meet me in downward facing dog. Or maybe you have found yourself in cat, or in child's pose, or your modified down dog. It's all up to you, whatever feels good for your body today. I hope you find help in this little tutorial, and stay tuned for more.